When it comes to old guns, I don't think it gets any older than the hand cannon. These were the first firearms used in Europe that were actually held by people.
The Chinese were the first to really discover gunpowder and figure out the formula between sulfur, saltpeter, and charcoal in the right proportions to make an explosion. And they started making these fire sticks out of bamboo back in 1100s, 1200s. By the end of the 1200s, they decided, well, it's going to be better if we cast this pipe in bronze.
There was developments in China, but really we focus on the European-made hand cannons. And the first time they really can be documented is about 1326 to about 1332. And there was apparently some sort of fracas that involved two people with hand cannons firing. The basics of the hand cannon are very simple. You have a metal tube. It's got a hole in one end where you put a projectile. And at this point, there wasn't such a thing as a lead ball that they thought should be used. They put all kinds of stuff in there. Metal arrows, eventually stones, and then iron balls were used. And the thing about this hand cannon, the handgonne, is there's no real stock. There's sort of a pole or stick shoved into the back of it, and then you've got this tube, and then there'd be a hole in the top of the tube that we would call a pan or a touch hole.
The first handguns, or hand cannons as you might want to, some people describe them, were very, very, very important step in the history of military hardware. There were three basic types. The first ones were fairly small. They were connected to a straight wooden stock, nothing very fancy. It could either be inserted into a socket that was actually part of the firearm itself, or the gun could be nestled into a little cradle on the stock and then held in with bands. This was the earliest type of handgun or handgun. The next one that came up was basically all metal. It had a long metal tiller and a shorter barrel. Although, again, they had some longer barrels too, and they also had hooks on them. And these hooks, some people think, well, they used that for a weapon. No, that hook was made to actually rest it on fortifications or trees or wherever you might want to rest the gun when you're firing it. Then there was a third type of gun that was of a more modern style in that it had a longer barrel and it actually had a stock that you could more or less hold up next to your shoulder.
What I find really interesting about these early guns is they show up in a range of bore sizes, but one of the more common bore sizes that you see in these medieval handguns is right in that 75 caliber to 78 caliber range. And remember, we're talking the middle of the 14th century, and this is the 1330s, 1340s. And that 75 caliber, 78 caliber bore size actually kind of remains a standard going all the way up until the early 19th century. And the other thing that you see is instead of using stone projectiles like they're using in these large bombards, they are actually casting lead bullets because they can more easily melt lead in these smaller bore sizes.
So eventually they developed a better mousetrap. You get the arquebus, and then eventually you get the matchlock, because with the hand cannon, your touch hole is on the top, which is very difficult to get to. But if you move it over to the right side, that makes it easier. And if you have the match already attached, that makes the job even easier still.